From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the latest news blast for September 1st, 2025. Forecasts show the U.S. is losing foreign travelers. The World Travel and Tourism Council projected ahead of Memorial Day that the U.S. would be the only country among the 184 it studied where foreign visitor spending would fall in 2025. The finding was a, quote, clear indicator that the global appeal of the U.S. is slipping, the Global Industry Association said. The world's biggest travel and tourism economy is heading in the wrong direction, Julia Simpson, the council's president and CEO, said. While other nations are rolling out the welcome mat, the U.S. government is putting up the close sign. Travel research firm Tourism Economics, meanwhile, predicted this month that the U.S. would see 8.2% fewer international arrivals in 2025, an improvement from its earlier forecast of a 9.4% decline, but well below the numbers of foreign visitors to the country before the COVID-19 pandemic. The sentiment drag has proven to be severe, the firm said, noting that airline bookings indicate the sharp inbound travel slowdown of May, June, and July would likely persist in the months ahead. Deborah Friedland, managing director of the financial services firm Eisner Advisory Group, said the U.S. travel industry faced multiple headwinds: rising travel costs, political uncertainty, and ongoing geopolitical tensions. Since returning to office, Trump has doubled down on some of the hardline policies that defined his first term, reviving a travel ban targeting mainly African and Middle Eastern countries, tightening rules around visa approvals, and ramping up mass immigration raids. At the same time, the push for tariffs on foreign goods that quickly became a defining feature of his second term gave some citizens elsewhere a sense they were unwanted. Perception is reality, Friedland said. Organizers of an international swing dancing competition said an impression of America's hostility to foreigners led them to postpone the event, which had been scheduled to take place this month in the Harlem area of New York City. About 3 months into Trump's second term, international competitors began pulling out of the world finals of the International Lindy Hop Championships, saying they felt unwelcome, event coordinator and co-producer Tina Morales said. About half of attendees each year come from outside of the United States, primarily from Canada and France, she said. Contest organizers are considering whether to host the annual competition in another country until Trump's presidency ends, Morales said. The climate is still the same, and what we're hearing is still the same, that dancers don't want to come here, she said. The nation's capital, where the Trump administration in recent weeks deployed National Guard members and took over management of Union Station, also has noticed an impact. Local tourism officials have projected a 5.1% dip in international visitors for the year. Marketing organization Destination DC said last week it planned to counter negative rhetoric about the city with a campaign that would feature residents and highlight the more personal side of Washington. U.S. government data confirms an overall drop-off in international visa arrivals during the first 7 months of the year. The number of overseas visitors, a category that doesn't include travelers from Mexico or Canada, declined by more than 3 million people, or 1.6% compared to the same period a year earlier, according to preliminary figures from the National Travel and Tourism Office. As a tourist generator, Western Europe was down 2.3%, with visitors from Denmark dropping by 19%, from Germany by 10%, and from France by 6.6%. A similar pattern surfaced in Asia, where the U.S. data showed double-digit decreases in arrivals from Hong Kong, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Fewer residents of countries throughout Africa also had traveled to the United States as of July. However, visitors from some countries, among them Argentina, Brazil, Italy, and Japan, have arrived in greater numbers. Executives from the major U.S. airlines said last month that American passengers booking premium airfares helped fill their international flights and that demand for domestic flights was picking up after a weaker than expected showing in the first half of 2025. The Federal Aviation Administration said it was gearing up for what is expected to be the busiest Labor Day weekend in 15 years. Bookings for U.S. airlines were up about 2% compared to 2024 for the long holiday weekend that started Thursday, aviation analytics firm Cirium said. As the summer winds down, though, the absence of foreign visitors in cities like Buffalo was still visible, according to Mr. Kaler, the head of Visit Buffalo Niagara. Canada sent over 20.2 million visitors to the U.S. last year, more than any other country, U.S. government data showed. But this year, residents of Canada have been among the most reluctant to visit. In a major U-turn, more U.S. residents drove into Canada in June and July than Canadians making the reverse trip, according to Canada's National Statistical Agency. Statistics Canada said it was the first time that happened in nearly 2 decades, except for 2 months during the pandemic. In July alone, the number of Canadian residents returning from the U.S. by car was down 37% from the year before, and return trips by plane fell by 26%, the agency said. As a result, Visit Buffalo Niagara shifted its marketing efforts this summer to cities like Boston, Philadelphia, and Chicago. Amateur children's sporting events also helped fill the void left by Canadian tourists. We will always welcome Canadians back when the time is right, Kaler said. I don't want Canadians to feel like we see them as just dollar signs or transactions at our cash registers. They mean more to us than that. And that's the end of this news blast. If you like our video content, please consider subscribing to our channel. If you would like to listen to PEP Radio, we are available on the Live 365 app, Roku, PEP Radio page on PAEquality.com, and on Alexa. Thanks for watching.